F-16A Fighting Falcon. Just in time to allow Gizmo to give his full and all-rolling display. What a fantastic demonstration we're about to see. Gizmo being the call sign of Commandant RIAT. Aircraft coming from 10 wing of the Belgian Air Component, based at Belgium. After that outside turn, we now expect to see Gizmo quickening the pace, accelerating in afterburner to around 620 knots for his high-speed pass. Yeah, this display is designed to show the full speed range capabilities of the F-16. From 110 knots at the slow speed pass to that 600 knot pass. This runway is 2 miles long, and at 600 knots, that fly pass took 12 seconds from end to end. Barrel roll. Mark, can you explain a little more about angle of attack and what it means in this context? Yeah, well, angle of attack is essentially the angle between the wing and the forward trajectory of the aircraft. The more lift you pull, the more angle of attack is required, and obviously the slower you go, the more lift is required, given that there isn't much air going over the wing. Now, as you see him pulling into this, the aircraft is probably accelerating from 180 knots to full reheat. As it departs from the target line. That's angle of attack. And as well as the full speed range this display shows, it also shows you a -2 push in that pounds, which is the equivalent of putting 2 10-pin bolts on the top of your head. Not something I've ever tried. Don't try it at home. Undercarriage down now for a low go around.
And from this, Gizmo will be pulling up into a so-called split S, one of the classic air combat maneuvers. Aileron roll out there on the 45-degree line, coming back in on what we call the A-axis. That's the display axis that's parallel to the main runway. The B-axis is the one that's at 90 degrees onto that when aircraft come in straight towards us. But here comes the Belgian F-16-4, the slow-speed pass that you were mentioning.
Yeah, now this, which is roughly the cruise speed of a Cessna 152. Once again, look at the difference between where the aircraft is going and the smoke that's coming off the trailing end of the wing. There is a minimum radius turn at display centre. Yeah, the combination of those two manoeuvres is actually very impressive and very hard to fly. He's going from minimum speed to minimum radius, and that turn was a radius of about 1,500 feet. Truly impressive for an aircraft that has been flying well in excess of 40 years. Yeah, the first flight of the F-16 occurred in 1974. At that stage, it was conceived as a pure lightweight fighter for the US Air Force, with hopes of export sales, of course, very much in mind. And indeed, Belgium was one of the European air arms that signed up pretty quickly, looking for an F-104 Starfighter replacement. Yeah, and who knows, if it perhaps had remained a true or pure air-to-air fighter back in the 70s, it may not have lasted any more than 10, 15 years, but the way the aircraft has evolved has assured its 40-year lifespan plus, and at the same time 5,000 aircraft built. So and we'll see it later on in the hands of the US Air Force, both with a couple of frontline examples in our USAF anniversary flypast, and of course with the Thunderbirds at the end of the show. Both cases, that's the F-16C model, but the earlier A's and B's now much upgraded. So going back in defence budgets, that's all the more important. And the end of the Cold War has seen quite a radical slimming down of the Belgian F-16 fleet, but it is, as Mark was saying, much more capable. They've been into action in all sorts of multinational operations in recent years, in the Balkans, in Afghanistan, in the Baltic Air Policing mission, providing air defence to the three Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. They were in action in 2011 over Libya, and more recently in the efforts to combat the so-called Islamic State, or Daesh. Also, Belgium shares quick reaction alert air defence duties in the Benelux countries with the F-16s of the Royal Netherlands Air Force. There we saw one from the Belgian Air Component from 10 Wing at Kleine Brogel, the F-16A MLU Fighting Falcon.